This video is sponsored by Brookwell's Parts and Accessories, helping you to get technical with your Land Rover. Okay, I need to first of all just explain something. Some people call dampers shock absorbers. Well, shock absorbers actually are dampers. Shock absorbers are the road spring. When we call a final drive unit a diff, and I make the same mistake, is actually a final drive unit because the differential unit is the planetary and sun gears in the middle. So I'll just make that clear, even though I say diff quite a lot, meaning final drive. Okay, hello, welcome back to the LRTV. And before we get started, I just want to show you these caliper bolts which were stuck in solid. I couldn't remove them. The head should look like that, but they didn't. They got chewed up. And the reason for that is I used an Irwin tool on this, and it never go anywhere without these tools because they get you out of trouble. So you buy a kit and you have to buy an expansion pack. You get your metrics and you get your Imperial, and I think actually, yeah, I think it was an Imperial one that fitted. Okay, or was that a 13mm? It's probably in the wrong socket. Yeah, 13mm. And this, I used an air gun with an adapter and put something like 600 Newton meters and a bit of heat to get the bolt out. But these are brilliant, and you can see the Irwin tool actually gripped all the way out. Once it gripped it, that just kept pulling it until the bolt let go. So it's just one of those things, isn't it? It's trouble that you can do without. Right, so I said I was going to put this into a axle and then show you, but I didn't because I had to put it into a different vehicle. D2 do fit into 90s quite easily. One of the diffs that I removed here on the front had quite a lot of play, or what you'd say backlash. I've got some bearings courtesy of Brookwell's, and we're going to do a diff overhaul. And I have this diff on the table, and also have a crown and pinion. Okay, so crown and pinions always go together. You can exchange everything else except for the crown and pinion. They're made as a pair. Right, so the final drive itself, okay, it is to transfer power through 90 degrees. It also helps to turn the wheels at different speeds when you go around corners. The crown and the pinion, okay, so the pinion drives the crown wheel, okay. They are set at different areas. However, the meshing of the teeth has to be set, and it has to be very important how it's set. Otherwise, you will get a noisy drive out of it. So this is one thing I'm going to show you how to check it before we do anything else, because we need to know what we're dealing with. So this subject can get very technical, and it will get technical. I know some of you guys are just not going to be bothered with buying equipment or doing any measurements. Some of you guys will, so whoever drops off, but I will do simple stuff first. We have markings on the for the height, or the pinion height, and the height is also controlled by shims behind one of the bearings, which is this shim, which will involve measurements and more measurements, okay? So just be warned, it will start to get rather complicated after a while. So people who have asked me to set up a Salisbury diff, this is different to the banjo type, and it's a little bit more complicated, so just be warned. Alright, so teeth meshing, okay, you can see the pinion and you can see the crown wheel, and they mesh together, and they have to mesh together properly, otherwise you get very varying results. You either get a noise on overrun. Now the teeth have certain areas and names, so you have a face or driven side, and you have a coast side or flank side. You have roots, you have a heel and a toe, and you have a root and a peak. You can see here, this is basically a diagram, and what we have is a contact area of the pinion to the crown wheel, and this is correct. It doesn't leave an impression, but this is the sort of area where it contacts, and this would be correct. This is out of an LDV workshop manual, and it's probably the best one I could get to explain you how it is. So if it's wrong, heel to tooth contact or toe tooth contact, it will show up if you do a test to see how it is. This is what you'll always do when you're setting up your diff anyway after a rebuild, but I also check it beforehand. Now I've got this yellow stuff which I was recommended to buy off eBay. Don't like it. However, it is one way of checking the tooth contact. Land Rover down the bottom there say number 49, apply Prussian blue, and LDV also say that as well, and that's the way I'm going to go. So it's your choice which you use. So here is a tin of Stewart's micrometer engineering marking, and if you know anything about engineering, you know what this stuff does. So basically, I use this to check the impression of the tooth contact, and this is painted on. The yellow stuff also is painted on, and I will show you later. I need to explain a little bit about the diff in this, but basically, if you can see that, if you can't, you will understand it later on, but it's basically showing you where the tooth contact is, which is pretty good for an old diff. Right, so this diff is out of, well, is it standard? I don't know. Anyway, this is called an open diff because it's actually open, okay? You have sun and planetary wheels or gearing, okay? The big ones here are sun gears. Okay, and the half shafts run through there. You can see there's 24 splines, so that's 24 spline diff. And basically, this is what the differential section is of the final drive. Okay, so it's like that. And these aren't brilliant. These pins have clips on them, and they can be really shit. They can snap, the clips can come off. Or, I'll show you how that is here, and this is in the carrier housing, okay? This can wear oval, and when it does, that completely fucks the carrier, so that's an expensive job, okay? Now, backlash that you feel on your prop shaft can be because of this. You can see how much movement there is before the gears make contact, okay? That magnifies itself. If you have spline wear as well, it's a problem. Now this one here is different. This is a 4-pin diff, which is a lot stronger. It's built differently. You still have your planetary gears and your sun gears, okay? And it has a cross shaft, if you like, which makes up the 4-pin. This is, well, more than likely it's heavy duty, but it is more reliable. It tends not to break, okay? You can see there is one of the 4 pins. This is exactly the same as what we fitted in the transfer box. Now, I'll just make you aware that engineering, things that are made and engineered together will be marked how they're put back together, okay? Now, this is the Salisbury axle, and you can see this is also a 4-pin differential unit. It was saying that the differential is the only bit of the differential is the planetary gears and the sun gears, okay? So basically the crown wheel and the pinion are not a differential, they are part of a final drive unit, okay? This is not the same as a banjo unit, okay? It's shimmed up, whereas these are adjusted by adjuster caps to move the crown wheel in or away from the pinion. Again, you can see here, this is the adjuster, and you can see the threads here, okay, so where the bearing caps are. Also, in the casing, you have oil feed holes, which go to the nose cone of the differential casing, okay. And, yeah, oh, sorry, it's not differential casing, the final drive casing. And at the front here, you will have a bearing as well, which will sit in there, but basically the oil runs through to there. Or should I say it's pushed. Right, so this yellow paint you can get off eBay. I think the Americans like this stuff. You can look at some of the videos on YouTube and they're using it. Now you paint it in 3 even areas, 3 or more teeth. And basically what you do, push it with a bit of wood or give it some resistance so the paint can be squashed out as the teeth mesh. Okay, this apparently is okay for high boil, so once you've done this, it won't interfere with your bearings or anything. So you run it one way, and you get impressions on your teeth, first of all, on your crown wheel, and this is what we're looking for. And then you will run it the other way as well. So you've got your drive and your coast sides that have been covered. And what you're looking for is the impression or the marks where the teeth would come in contact. Okay, don't forget you have lubrication in here. EP90 is an extreme pressure oil, and that's what you use in a diff. Right, so I wasn't very happy with the results of this. I couldn't really see very much. There was For instance, in a couple of areas where I could see that there had been impressions. Now, you get a graph, which is actually pretty good. This will tell you what you're looking for, okay, and if you see here, this is quite correct, and then toe top contact, for instance, or top heel contact, it will tell you what you need to do, either reset the backlash. The same with, this is out of the Puma manual. This will show you exactly the same thing. I seem to have found it only in the Puma manual, and it gives you the information that you need to know, okay? Basically, with this test, first of all, what I would do is to, if you're buying a Diff, for instance, is to check it. Okay, you don't know what monkey's been in there. You don't know, unless you've taken the Diff out yourself and you've had a test drive, whether this is meshed correctly. If not, it will be noisy. Now you can see here the little graph I put up, or the picture I put up down there. You can actually see an impression, okay, and the smallest end, which is towards the inside, the toe, it seems to be okay. It does seem to be giving some sort of impression, okay, so that's quite correct. As I say, contact evenly spread and nearer to the toe, which is the smaller inner end of the tooth. You can see that, so you know where the toe is. It's nearer the inside and the heel's on the outside. Okay, so this is the stuff I like. I would expect to see some of that stuff on a Diff that's been set up properly if I was going to go and buy one. If not, when you buy a Diff, use some of this stuff and check it. This is such an easy test before you put the Diff in, and you will know then whether you're going to have a noisy Diff or not. It's important because if you hear Diffs when you're on overrun, that will be on the coast side. Obviously, the mesh is not correct and it will make a noise. So we're looking here at the contact area, and this Prussian blue is much better. I'll just zoom in with the camera, and then I'll freeze it just here so you can see now where the contact area is between the pinion teeth and the crown wheel teeth. If you can't see it, then I'm sorry, you need glasses, and I already wear glasses and I can see this. It's towards the toe side, and it looks pretty good, so I'd be happy with that. That's not an issue. Okay, so we'll look on the other side, and it's near enough the same. It's the impression is more towards the toe side, and it's near enough all the way across. Okay, and it's not too deep either, which is the same here. So I bet somebody somewhere looked at this and thought, aha, I wonder if I can convert a 10 spline differential into a 24 spline. And yes, you can, because this the pins, planetary gears, and the sun gears, yes, they do come as a kit, and I have changed a 10 spline to a 24 spline, which, to be honest with you, it's one of those sort of like things you know once you start pulling these to bits. So anyway, we're going to get on and do a lot of these, so just have patience. Don't strip any of your diffs until I've finished doing this series, and it will take a while because I've got to start doing engine stuff and everything else, so stay tuned.